tonight, 6:10 from Comerica Park, right here on 97.1 The Ticket. Pitching for Detroit will be Gregory Soto, just called up after the game to replace the now departed Ryan Carpenter, who was sent down to Toledo after last night's loss. Tiger pitching prospect Casey Mize going to the injured list with right shoulder inflammation. Grayson Grider on the 10-day injured list as well with a back sprain. Lions waive tight end Michael Roberts after trading him to New England. Roberts apparently failed the physical with the Patriots. At the U.S. Open, it's Gary Woodland with a two-shot lead over Justin Rose heading in today's third round at Pebble Beach. Woodland, a 9-under par 65. He's 9 under for the tournament, actually 6 under yesterday. That's good for a two-shot lead over Louis Oosthuizen, who's at -6, fouling a 1 under 70. One ahead of Rory McIlroy and Aaron Wise he is. And Tiger Woods level par, 9 shots back. At the ticket update desk comes Jeff Lesson for more. 97.1theticket.com.
The following is a paid program. The views expressed on this program are not necessarily those of Entercom Communications, its sponsors, or affiliates.
Alrighty, welcome to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. I'm your host, Harvey Freed. Alongside of me, filling in for Mr. Glenn, John Cole.
What's up, guys?
There
How
he
you doing
is
today.
Spartan proud, of course.
This group just got considerably younger. We got rid of Grandpa and we brought in Kyle.
There you go. And, of course, John brings in Kyle Lang with RE/MAX. That is at Dream Properties, right?
Yes, sir.
You guys are in Northville, one of the most happening cities around Southeast Michigan, maybe in the whole state. Still.
Northville, Livonia, which is on fire right now, and then we have our Lyon Township office as well.
We are actually talking, and we're going to dive into all of this. Thanks for joining us. Of course, we are sponsored by Capital Mortgage Funding, powered by Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, and we have a full staff all weekend long. Definitely call us at 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. Get a very strong approval letter. Get yourself set up and organized to purchase a house. Jen, we're going to talk about all that today. But we talked about some of the walkable cities, as we have been mentioning, of course, over the last several years. Yeah. Northville's dynamite. You got your Plymouth over there. Livonia's a spread-out city, but it's got its little pockets there in a really cool little civic center area.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Everyone, a lot of young families right now especially are telling me we want to be in Livonia. Property values are a little bit less than in Northville or Plymouth. And there's so much stuff that the city of Livonia has to offer. All their rec leagues, their sports leagues, everything like that for kids, and then great public schools as well.
Yeah, the schools are dynamite. Always had that tradition. We had that tradition here in Southeast Michigan, of course, all over their great state. But that we have great, public schools always. And, of course, great colleges and private institutions and a lot of opportunities out there, John.
It's unbelievable right now. This year opened up with a bang starting on January 6th. I mean, it was a great beginning of the year. And we've had strong going forward. We've got great realtors out there, selling properties for the right price, buying properties for the right price. It's just not what it was in the past, and it's a great opportunity for anybody who wants to get out there, and especially with rates trending downward a little bit. I hate to say that, knock on some wood.
Yeah, for sure. We'll keep that moving in the right direction. All eyes on the Fed as the stock market is obviously it's been back and forth, but it's been a little on the stronger side the last couple of weeks, 6 or 8 positive days. Of course, the Fed funds, they're going to be meeting, FOMC is going to meet again next week and see what's going on. I mean, we'll talk a little bit about the trade talks, of course, the whole tariffs against China and stuff. This is very, very sticky situation, and rates could jump up pretty quickly too, John.
Oh, they jump up a lot quicker than they go down.
Yeah.
So if you get an opportunity, you get a good rate that you like, lock it in. Make sure you're protected. There's always a way to, if rates go down dramatically after you're locked in, most companies will let you renegotiate. I know we do. It's not if it's an eighth or a quarter. It's got to drop down dramatically. But at least you're protected, and we give you an opportunity to even get better if that happens.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've even got a client. Remember, we just spoke with someone last week, John, that they're like, oh, I think I want to wait till December when I finish school. And we're like, listen, man, rates are ridiculously low right now. Don't write it off. And we actually just got an offer accepted for him yesterday. So. Yeah. Just because, you're thinking one thing, with rates as low as they are right now, people should really try to take advantage of that.
Well, yeah. And the good thing with that client as well is that, we got him prepped early. So, get ready, get yourself in a position that if you go out there and find that perfect property, you're ready to go. And that's what we did. And you showed him a property that he just couldn't be without. So, being prepped, rates are still good. Working with a good team, Kyle, myself, Harvey, Harry, anybody that's, part of our company that does a good job, you're not going to go wrong because we're going to prep you and get you done the right way.
There's a lot of passion out there with the people. You know the difference between if you're just dealing with some people that just got in it recently versus maybe someone who's a little bit more passionate about it. But it's so important that you truly have a great plan set up. And as we're still finding many buyers out there that don't have a true approval letter. And Kyle, it really leaves any agent out there at a disadvantage. And even if you're on the listing side of things, you truly want to know on behalf of your sellers that the buyer is that strong, that they're just not winging it a little bit. And we're still seeing a good handful of clients that are coming to us and they don't have all their ducks in a row quite yet.
Right.
Absolutely. I mean, from a listing agent standpoint, because I help buyers and sellers, when something like that happens, I mean, my sellers are trusting me to do the research on that because I do this every day. They don't. So if something happens where a buyer turns out to not be pre-approved, it's a terrible situation for everyone involved.
Now, we keep continuously hearing about the inventory shortage all around Southeast Michigan. Are you in your backyard? I mean, you're in the prime areas there. What's it looking like over the last couple of weeks? Is there any slowdown? If a house goes on the market in Northville, is this thing gone in a handful of days?
If it's in the right area and it's priced correctly, it's gone within a number of days. Yes.
Even the ones that are on the main roads, that's not even a detriment
Not
to anyone
even
making an
a
offer.
deterrent right now. No, I mean, you might get less people looking, but you're still going to get people in there that are interested for sure.
All right, lots of styles and choices. We talk about that all across Southeast Michigan. If you want to join the show, 248-539-9797. We take your calls all morning long up until 10 o'clock. We'll be hitting with Pat Caputo right after that and sports and social commentary and a ton of sports coming up. In fact, Kyle, I'm pumped up. You're pumped up. You're a Michigan guy, and we've got the great Michigan baseball game later this afternoon. I think at 2 o'clock start
At 2
here.
o'clock.
All right, so we're all excited here.
State's playing? Michigan State's playing?
Who? No,
Do they have a
State
baseball
did-
team in East Lansing?
I think they do have one. You State fans can call up, and that's okay, John. We got a whole year of sports coming up, right?
Oh, yeah. We got basketball. We got football. It's gonna be a
77
great
days
year.
till Michigan football kicks off.
Kyle counts down every day.
Yeah, how you guys even do business together with the green? We got the blue and the green thing going up, but you
That's
figured
what
it
makes
out.
us so good, you know. We just the yin and the yang kind of thing, you know. We're just battling back and forth and fighting for each other. So
I had
it's
a
good
client show up the other day in an Ohio State hoodie to a showing. I'm like, dude, what are you doing?
I pulled my pre-approval instantly from him.
Well, definitely lots of good information to share with you here. Some good news came out of FHA this week. The future talks, they signed the bill, the FHA Loan Affordability Act, to repeal the MIP requirement that's going to be stuck on your loan for the lifetime of the loan. They now have signed that bill, John, and there's a possibility that it will go back to where the MIP could fall off your loan at 78%.
Well, that's fantastic because that's one of the things that we always talk about. FHA is a great program. It's great, but if you can avoid it and go conventional because FHA's MIP was for life, if you can avoid that and go conventional all day long, now that they're putting that back, I mean, but do they still have the statutory limitation for 11 years?
No, I'm not sure if they're going to have it on there that there's going to be a minimum. So we're going to keep an eye on it and follow up with this. So it's a good shout out to anyone out there with an FHA mortgage.
Yeah.
You know, John, most of our clients that have had FHA mortgages, we're usually following up with them a year or two later. There's usually a reason why they have to maybe obtain an FHA loan, which is a great mortgage. But usually they're able to refinance a year or two later.
Yeah, I like to call an FHA loan a stepping stone loan. You know, it's a great loan to get into. If you had to be in the loan for the lifetime of the loan, you're not going to go wrong. But there's always a little bit better opportunity that you can get yourself into. That being said, you know, we always try to make sure that we're taking care of our clients, looking out for them, seeing if there's anything better out there, and then pushing them to, you know, kind of just at least look at it. You know, if rates jump to 9 and you're in at 4.25 on an FHA loan, there's nothing we can do. But if rates are still similar and we can get you out of that FHA loan a little bit quicker, get rid of the PMI, and get you into a conventional loan, it might be a better situation for you.
Yeah, it's fun for us this time of year. And of course, Kyle, you're on the buying side, and home purchases is always extremely exciting and rewarding for us to be involved in those transactions. But yeah, we're lucky. We get to do these refinance transactions too for our past clients. So someone who might have bought 2 or 3 or 4 years ago, again, they're new buyers. You know, they signed all these documents. They learned a little bit when they bought the house. Maybe they learned a lot, maybe not enough. But here's this opportunity on the refinance side. But you got to understand, John, there's a lot of things. I actually wrote down that we were going to break down and get really break it down and get real concise about what happens on a mortgage transaction when you refinance your home, what happens to your current escrow account, how does it change your loan to value? Because sometimes people just come up and say, well, I want a lower rate, but that's not always, there's some closing cost involved. Yep. And if you roll them into the loan amount, now your loan to value can change and really change the whole loan.
Yeah, I mean, you got to know what you're doing. You know, you got to be working with somebody that knows what they're doing. And that's important because, yes, you know, you get companies out there that say, oh, it's a zero cost loan. We're just going to roll everything in. That's not a zero-cost loan. Whether you're paying for it out of your pocket or out of equity or home, you're still paying closing costs. There are options for zero-cost loan, which means that the lender is picking up all the costs for you. Nothing is rolled in for costs. But like Harvey said, if you want an escrow account and you don't want to front that money, you got to roll that into the mortgage, and your balance is going to go up a little bit, which plays into your LTV, making sure you stay out of PMI, all that stuff. So you got to make sure that you run all the numbers, make sense of everything. There are some current servicers that will allow you to short the payoff by what's left in their escrow account, but you have to get approval from them to do that.
All right, lots of different angles. Oh, yeah, there's a lot of information to know. It's just not pick up the phone. It's just not hit a button. You've got to learn. You've got to set yourself up for success. And when we come back, we'll share a little bit of that with you. 248-539-9797. We'll be right back.
Hi, Harry Glantz and Dan Burke for Capital Mortgage Funding. We do loans everywhere. In Southfield, in Birmingham, in Royal Oak, in Grosse Ile, in Detroit, in Canton, in Northville. No matter where you live, we want to do your mortgage too. That's Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker.
Good morning. Welcome to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show by Capital Mortgage Funding. I'm your host, Harvey Freed. Alongside of me, Harry Glantz.
Morning, Harvey. How are you today?
Fantastic, Harry. Good morning to you.
Beautiful outside today. We're in a good mood. It's home buying season. We're getting jacked up. It's fun. We have great guests, too.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the extended home buying season, June 8, 2019, bringing from our office, Sam Mansour. Good morning, Sam.
Good morning.
How are you today?
Happy to have Kent and Lisa Beth.
All right. Hey, we got Ken Tyrell and Lisa Beth Riopel. Hey, how you doing?
Good morning.
What's going on?
Happy to be here.
Oh, good.
They're
Great to have you guys in.
Just talking to them before the show, they're very experienced. They're very down to earth. They're well thought out. They're very common sense oriented. It just is not that difficult to do business, is it? It's just not.
It's actually fun. I can honestly say I've done a lot of different things in my careers, and this is the one that is actually everyday fun to get up to do.
It's fun, right? It's fun talking to people. It's fun showing people houses. And, it's even more fun when they find something that they really like, and it's going to be a place where, first-time home buyers, which we still enjoy after doing this for a very long time, where they're going to raise a family and lay down some roots and live there for a long period of time. It is the whole process for us. I know for a lot of people it's painstaking, but for us it's just a lot of fun. Good. Well, welcome.
Well, there's a lot of steps in the way. We'll talk about that fun and excitement definitely in the world of real estate when you're purchasing a house. You guys are out of the Coldwell Banker Weir Manual office, is that?
Correct, in downtown Northville.
Downtown Northville. I know you work there. I've been spending a lot of time out there. My buddy's out there in the Northville area, and I talked to you a little bit about that community garden that's out there. Talk about so many great cities, and I love the area you guys work. Of course, Northville has been gangbusters for probably the last 20 years. They started putting in the news construction, and a lot of the the builders were out there, and of course, a lot of that work on the golf course. But great proximity to the University of Michigan, great hospitals, education, highways, and everything, making your area really exclusive.
Yeah, consumers are really driven to the area for schools, lifestyle, ease of commute to work.
Well, community services there are good. Everything's great there. I mean, the high school is, the high school's not that old. It's fairly new high school. It's big. Community's great. They support, high school sports there. It's very community involved, and love going there. Don't like
Realtor Jeff Glover, a household name. Jeff Glover is affiliated with Keller Williams Realty.
You could win up to $500,000 with Michigan Lottery's $500,000 Money Match $5 instant game when you visit 97.1 The Ticket at Comerica Park's Gate A before the Tigers take on the Cleveland Indians through Sunday. There's fun in every one. Get tickets for any Tigers home game at Tigers.com.
Now available for download. Always Aggravated, a Mike Valenti signature podcast. Get it on radio.com and Apple iTunes.
97.1 The Ticket. 14. It's 1 hour of the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. Again, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. That's where you can find John and I all week long. 1-800-LOW-RATE. That's 1-800-569-7283. Always there to help you, give you some great information. Again, whether you're buying your first house, your second home, or that vacation home, call Capital Mortgage Funding. We'd love to help you out. And John, of course, we're all licensed in different states across the United States here, and I'm doing a little bit of Florida lately, which is good. It's been really fun.
It's a great state to lend in. You know, you just got to deal with that transfer tax on every single transaction. Unlike Michigan, who doesn't have it on refinances, Florida does, but that's because they don't have a state income tax.
Yeah, that's a great point. That it is very affordable to refinance here in Michigan. You can't flip a refinance in New York without spending $5,000 to $10,000 on fees. Same with Florida, though. It is a little bit more expensive. The intangible tax kicks in, and the transfer tax on purchases, of course. So give us a call. We'd like to share all this great information with you. 1-800 here in the studio 248-539-9797. Kyle, we always talk about the different house out there. What's exciting in real estate now? I mean, if you could give us a little scenario about maybe someone you're working with. Of course, they're approved. Now they've picked out, you got them set up on the MLS where they can go ahead and scan the houses and see which ones they like. So give me a little step-by-step out there for maybe a new buyer, and they're about to meet that agent today.
Right, for sure. So right now, everyone is loving ranches. If you have a ranch that's in a good area with a decent price point, it's going to go multiple offers most likely in one weekend. And I think, too, it's so dynamic, and anybody could live in a ranch, right? Whether you're empty nesters, just retired, looking for something a little bit smaller, or you're young folks just starting out, you don't need a lot of space, single guy, young couple, something like that. Ranches are really popular for them. And then also, too, we have growing families that are still looking for your traditional 3-4 bedrooms. Cape Cods are really popular right now because you have, your master's on the main floor. Then you can put the kids upstairs, especially if you have older kids. So, they're kind of away from mom and dad.
They can't sneak out.
Right. Unless they jump out the window or something like that.
Then they've earned it.
That's really fun, though. And you've seen a lot of step-up buyers now that you've been in it for a longer time now. Are you still in that situation where if the families that bought just 5 or 6 years ago, they have this chunk of equity, are they now calling and saying, Kyle, we're ready. We got a 2 or 3 year old?
I just posted a video about this on Facebook the other day. It's so common now where people that have bought within the last 4 or 5 years, they're seeing their equity has maybe even doubled. That they're like, all right, let's sell this now. Let's use this equity to get into our forever home or the home that we're going to raise our kids in. And they're taking advantage of that a lot.
All right, let's move off to a call here before we dive back in. 248-539-9797. We've got Mark calling in from Brownstown. Go ahead, Mark. You're live on the ticket.
Hi, how you guys doing today?
Real good. Good morning.
I had a question for you. I purchased my home last October when I believe the rates were high in comparison to what they've been over the last year or two. That was kind of like the high watermark for them at that point. So now being there for how many ever months, we're kind of looking at moving again, but we're not positive. In the same token, I'm not super happy with my rate, and so I was thinking about refining. Now, I'd hate to refi and have to pay closing costs and whatnot, and then just to maybe move within the next year possibly.
Right.
But I currently have a 30-year at 4.5, and I'd really like to get down to a 15-year. But number one, I was wondering what the rates are right now and if I have any options at low-cost closings for this.
Yeah, it's a good question. How much is your loan amount? And I'll let John handle that.
Yeah, I mean...
I have a conventional, and the amount is right in the ballpark of 180 at this point.
All right, Mark, here's what you really have to sit back and think about. There's no reason to refinance if you're planning on moving in a year. Even jumping into a 15-year. I'd rather see you just throw more money on a monthly basis on that 30-year and turn it in your own 15-year, because there's no reason to restart an amortization on a 30 or 15 if you're planning on moving that quickly. Now, if you were to say to me, John, it may be 2 years or 3 years, then we're going to do a break-even analysis for you to see what makes sense. Paying costs versus not paying costs. What's the rate when you pay costs? What's the rate if you're not paying any closing costs? So we got to take a look at how the numbers shake out for you to make sure that we're advising you the right way. But if you're saying we're going to be moving in 6 months, a year, don't do anything. Get yourself ready to move. Plan accordingly, and just pay a little bit extra on your mortgage right now. To tell you the truth, 4.5 isn't that far out of the ballpark right now. I mean, it depends on your rate or your credit score, but people with really, really good credit scores, we're talking 4.25 right now.
Yeah.
So you're not that far out. You got to remember, anything you see on TV from these big companies just trying to lure you in, it's like leasing a car. And it's like getting that Denali for $200 a month, but in the small print you owe $20,000 at signing.
Yeah.
You can get any rate out there that you want to, but there's no reason to pay for it if it doesn't really benefit you and the break even isn't, anytime soon.
Yeah, John, to answer Mark's question, too, about 15 years, they're under 4% in most situations.
Sure.
But if he was to do maybe a zero cost on a 180 loan amount, he might be looking at about a 4% rate.
4% on a 15-year, and you got 4.5%. Why even go through it if you're going to be moving in 6 months? I mean, here, don't get me wrong. We obviously our main job is to write loans and do mortgages for people, but Harvey does the same thing as I do. Harry does the same thing. Becky, Alley, everybody who's on this show, we do the same thing. We advise people the way that we would want to be advised.
Yeah, that breakdown and that cost analysis, sort of comparing Mark is when's your break-even point. But again, you guys got to sit down and decide what you want to do over the next even couple weeks. Decide, because if you do think you'd stay, maybe that's at least 2 years.
Run the numbers.
We can run the numbers for you.
I don't care if you say I'm going to be here for 13 months and it breaks even after 12, then sure, it makes sense for 1 month, even if you're only saving $35, $40. But do you want to go through the hassle? That's really a judgment call for yourself at that point.
Yeah.
I know that when I bought my house, I put myself in an arm because it was my 3 or 5 year home.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in this house for 20 years now.
Exactly.
So you never know what's going to come up. But take a look, see what you're thinking about doing. I would call Kyle. I would tell Kyle and let Kyle look at you and say, hey, what can you sell this house for? What, are there any capital gains that you're going to have to pay because you haven't been living in this home for 2 years as your primary residence? And then also take a look at what can we save you. You got to take it. You got to work with a team, and the team's going to advise you.
If you put it in a new house and go ahead and just buy a new house that is in great shape. But hey, one of the things is too, Mark, and it's a great question, is have you been out there to look at some new house? Maybe that would get you excited. Kyle, do you like that play?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if you're kind of on the fence and you're not exactly sure if you're ready to move, if there's something out there that you're going to like more than what you're in now, getting out there and just checking out a few houses. I've got a couple right now that they just said yesterday, we're not too motivated, but we want to see what's out there just to kind of get a feel for the market. And I always recommend doing that.
Makes it fun. Yeah, it's a great question, Mark. Thanks a lot. Go ahead. What else?
We've been looking a little bit. Like I said, at this point in time, it's all speculation. We don't know if we're staying, if we're moving. It's just a tough call to make. My last house, I'm coming from a, historical low 2.99 15 year. And, so anything above that is kind of like,
we are all spoiled, Mark. We are all spoiled.
Right.
Hey, you know what? Rates never stopped anyone from buying a house, even when I bought my first home. Mark, great call. Thanks, you. I appreciate it. We'll follow up with you for sure.
All right, you guys have a good day.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. We are, we'll call Mark later and get that. We'll run some numbers by and see what his credit score is and all that. But yeah, definitely there's an opportunity out there to save money. But again, you don't just refinance to do it because you need to stay in the house to break even. There's a break even point in most situations.
Yeah, I mean, there's a number of opportunities. And, you just got to call people that are going to give you the real advice. And, I wish I could do a mortgage for everybody I talk to. But that's just not possible.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense all the time.
Right. It's you just got to do the right thing. So before he even should be looking at refinancing, I want him to talk to somebody like Kyle to find out whether that house is going to be worth what he wants to sell it for, what he's going to get out of it after he pays all the fees that come along with selling a home, and then also what can he get into, and is it in his ballpark that he wants to be in? And it sounds like he wants to be in a 15-year regardless. So if he's going to go from 180 to 250, is he going to be able to afford a 250 mortgage with a 15-year fixed? Or will he have to go back to a 30-year? Will he be happy with that? You got to look at everything.
8 million things. Again, if you have a 30-year mortgage, there's no prepayment penalty. As you mentioned, you can amortize it over 15 years and build a little bit more equity. And if you have to step back a little bit, you can make the lower payment.
Yeah, so he's paying a slightly higher interest rate by reamortizing it himself. But guess what? He didn't have to pay any closing costs to get to that 15-year.
Yep.
Kyle, the talk of the town is always about the inventory. There's not a whole lot of homes out there in these hot areas. Again, in the slower areas, you've got some leverage if you're a buyer.
Absolutely.
But in the hot areas, we're still seeing the multiple offers, which is leading us to these contingency waivers. People are still doing some little crazy things because they've got the money to make up the difference. They're they're doing the contingency appraisal. No appraisal contingency. It doesn't have to appraise that. I'll bring the money.
I'll pay whatever. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I just went and showed a house yesterday. It hit the market at 9 a.m. yesterday. I showed it at 11. I called the listing agent and said, hey, just showed your house. My folks really like it. Wanted to see what's up. He's like, I've already got 2 offers.
Yeah,
like,
get in line.
It's 2 hours, man. Like, how do people even get their, emails open ready to do this stuff yet?
I think people are making offers before even seeing houses nowadays.
Sometimes, yeah.
Hey,
that's
it's
crazy.
slim pickings. Why not? If you want to be in that area, that talk about being prepared to make an offer.
That's also an important thing to remember too. Is I had this situation a couple weeks ago where we had accepted an offer for my client, and it was a strong offer. Guy and his agent came through. It's an agent that I know actually pretty well from the area, and they wrote us an offer. Well, they come through and they do their inspection. They back out after the inspection for nothing, and it's because the guy's wife hadn't seen the house yet,
right?
And she didn't like the house when they came to do the inspection. Talk about
getting-
wanting to pull your hair out. I mean, from a seller and from an agent standpoint, you're just like,
come on, man.
What are we
sort of
gonna
wasting
do?
time here.
Emotional roller coaster for that seller.
Yep.
But there's backup offers, and that's why we find that more and more of the agents out there saying, hey, look, I'm going to accept your offer, but I'm keeping the house on the market here.
Yep.
I don't know what's going to go on.
Let me
Crazy
get through
things
this-
happen.
I got to get through this inspection just so I can keep everything together. Because, I mean, as a listing agent, you have to have the best interest of your client at all times.
All righty.
Backup offers are coming through even more now than they used to.
All right. A lot of preparing yourself for successful home ownership and selling your house. Keep it here on 97.1 The Tickets. It's 9:25. When we come back, all of your calls. All righty, welcome back to the show, 9:15. Gorgeous outside today. What do you think? June 8th,
About
2019. Not too bad. A lot of parties going on. There's a lot of sporting events going on, graduation parties. Congratulations and salute to all those fine grads out there, and congratulations, and hopefully you do well. You don't have to get into real estate. You can get into become a lawyer and a doctor, and we wish you well in college.
You could do that.
Yeah, we got enough.
Be a
I
mortgage
want them to
person.
do that because then they'll come to us for services.
That's it. That's
Hey,
right.
you know, I love the in between the breaks here. We always talk about different things, but we were just talking about like who's showing you the house and what do they bring to the table and the differences of professionalism. Harry, of course, had to tell me, no, you can't say that. But there's no doubt you don't want a part-time person necessarily working with you. They don't. You mentioned something. They don't know what your needs and wants are.
Right. A lot of times people will say, well, I want a ranch and I want a family room. And it's really not that they want a ranch. It's that they want something where there's entry-level bedroom for either themselves or for a guest. It's really about how they're going to live in the house as opposed to what boxes does it tick.
Right. And it's a lifestyle approach. I mean, they have to go ahead and they have to be able to see it. It has to be a vision. When you walk into a house that might not be perfect, you can make it perfect for you. Exactly. So you walk in there and maybe you're a handy person and maybe the house needs a little bit more work. And maybe to somebody else, it's not the house that they want. But when you know your client, you know their needs, you've known these people for a long time, and you know they're good at being a handy person, they walk in, they see a totally different house when they walk in that maybe that you showed it to somebody else before. So you can never prejudge. You can't be predisposed as to, what your clients in life, whatever, occupation you're in, don't be predisposed. Just give people the option of going in and picking it out for themselves. Now, you can give them ideas or they can tell you what they think, but, open it up. Use a broad spectrum of ideas and thought process and just open it up because you don't know. How do you know? How do you know? I might not want to be a handy guy, Harvey. I might want that batting. I might like that batting cage in my backyard. I say it every week.
Oh, yeah.
I might like that built-in pool.
Right.
Right? Other people might not like it. They don't want that stuff. It's a pain, right? I mean, everybody thinks because they have a pool in their backyard, it's worth money. No, it's not. Because if you don't want it there and you have to take it out or fill it in, it's going to cost you money.
Well, you could find a big lot here, and it's got a lot of maintenance that comes with it, too,
Right.
where someone else has said, you know what, I'm not at that point.
Maybe I don't want a big lot.
Maybe I don't want to take care of it. Maybe I don't pay the money to have someone take care of it.
But
And
I wouldn't prejudge anything like that. I would listen to the clients, and we try to listen to our clients and get their goals and objectives. We talk about that. And then what we try to do, like you do, you will show them a lot of homes. We will go ahead and offer all of the options, all the programs, all the down payment options. You can never, you can't prejudge.
Well, let me throw this at you guys, Lisa, Ken. I mean, you get a lot of clients. Obviously, they have the pre-approval letter, and they're coming to you, and it says something on it. It says what they can afford potentially. It has a mortgage amount or a maximum purchase price. But again, what is more important sometimes? You're in this transaction. Do you get the best house? Do you get the best house to match your needs? You get the best house that are you going to grow into a home? Is it the location? When you sit with the clients, can you give me a little bit of perspective of like when you're meeting with them and how you sort of feel like what areas and what houses would fit their needs?
Well, one of the first things we start with is, obviously, where do you have to go to every day, whether it's a work or a school? What do you like to do after hours? Is the best thing in your life is that you want to be able to walk out your house and get on a bike path.
Yeah.
Is it that you want to be able to look out and see something? Is it that you want to be able to close the door on Saturday and spend the weekend exploring Michigan because it's gorgeous? And it's a lifestyle, as you said, Harry. It's a lifestyle decision. It's not necessarily the physical structure. It's what meets your needs.
Right. You were a pretty mobile area. This area was built.
This home buying season has been gangbusters, a little bit even stronger than 2018, and we'll get into that a little bit more. Let's roll out to Jermaine out in Rochester. Jermaine, you got a question. When's the best time of the year to sell? Go ahead. Is that it?
Yeah, that was my question, because I've heard wintertime is better, but I know summertime is real hot because, people are trying to find. I have a 4-bedroom house, so usually people with children will look, and, you want to move in the summertime for the school districts, but I don't know. That was just one of the questions that I had.
Yeah, good general question. Thanks for the call.
Yeah, absolutely, Jermaine. Thanks for calling in. And yeah, I would say if you're in a 4-bedroom house like that, where usually someone that's going to buy a 4-bedroom house is a family, the summertime really is your best time to sell your house because they're going to want to be in there before the school year starts, even usually a couple weeks before the school year starts. I will talk to other people, though, that if they're selling a 2-bedroom ranch, there's not a lot of families that are going to be moving into a 2-bedroom ranch. At that point, it's what's best for you. Like, what's best for your schedule? When are you wanting to move? What is your timeline like moving forward? Because we're not in a rush for got to get in here before school starts. We're just basically trying to work around the seller's preference.
Right. And if it's a slower time of the year when you're selling, you might not get as much for your house, but then you might be able to buy the new house for a little bit less money. So all that falls into play if you're buying another house in the area.
Yep.
All right, 248-539-9797. Always helpful tips here on the Hardcore Mortgage Show. Of course, with all-time low interest rates over the last 40, 50 years, so many families have got into home ownership. Well, that brought a ton of investors in, and they're out there charging top dollar for rent. Hey, if you're in a situation where you've been renting a house for several years, find out how you can become a homeowner. Again, a lot of families ran into some really difficult times with the recession kicked in 2007 to 2009. Hey, if you had a bankruptcy or foreclosure, get back into the housing game. You're going to pay someone's mortgage. Let it be your mortgage versus your landlord's.
Yeah, you just want to make sure you're doing the fiscal the correct thing for yourself.
I like that.
It's renting is great for young kids, for people that are in a transition period. If you don't know the area, if you just moved into the area and you want to kind of explore different areas of where you might be able to live, then renting's great. But if you're here long term and you've got a family that you want to raise, get a house a condo, something under your belt so that you can really enjoy it and know what home ownership is all about, and pride and joy of taking care of something like that, and showing your kids how to chores and what they need to do to grow up and do the right thing. I mean, you just don't see that anymore.
I always say it's an investment in yourself. Like you're banking on yourself and trusting yourself when you're doing that. When you're renting, you're paying somebody else's mortgage. Instead, give that money back to yourself every month and build equity into your largest asset.
Yeah.
You talk about all these things, the world, the language that we all use, smartphones. How about a smart offer? Like a really smart offer is where you have everything that you want to say in the offer, but with, having the contingencies written in there. We talk so often about all this language that can be written in a purchase agreement, yet we still get these situations where it's just a standard purchase agreement. Now the house appraises for $5,000 or $10,000 less, and we're back to the drawing table.
Right.
Are you finding yourself where almost every offer, you're adding some additional information here, or if they don't ask for it, sort of just do the appraisal and see what happens and then negotiate after?
Well, I will say this, and I've heard you guys say this on this show before. Not all lenders and not all realtors are created equally. So with that being said, there's some agents that just know how to put together a purchase agreement better that's going to make your offer look more attractive to a listing agent, especially in these multiple offer situations where you have a lot of people that are bidding over asking price and throwing in all these different contingencies. So yeah, we are seeing a lot of appraisal contingencies or appraisal waivers. And there, it's just a peace of mind for the seller. So let's say you are writing something $10,000 over the asking price, and you put a $2,500 appraisal contingency in there. From a seller standpoint, even if this house doesn't appraise for this $10,000 over, I'm going to get $2,500 more than this home is worth.
Over appraised value,
exactly. At closing. So then it's just a peace of mind. And then we're avoiding a lot of those speed bumps that we've hit where usually if a house doesn't appraise, you enter a renegotiation situation. Now, more times than not, buyers and sellers are like, listen, this is what we agreed to. Let's just keep this train rolling.
Right. And what's the other incentive that's out there right now is free occupancy.
Yep.
Yeah. We were at a closing the other day that 30 days free occupancy for the sellers, and they couldn't be happier because their house wasn't ready. It was supposed to close on the same day, but something got backed up on the buy of their new home. So they've got a couple days, a week, 2 of free occupancy to be able to close, get their stuff moved out, clean the house up for the new buyers, and just do it the right way.
And depending on the price of that house, I mean, that could be $1,000, $2,000 savings for a seller. And from a buyer standpoint, I mean, you skip a month anyway with that first mortgage payment. So it's like, are you really giving up anything? No, you're just doing what you need to do to get your offer accepted.
Well, you are, but because you pay interest in arrears. But
Right.
it's what's really what's coming out of your pocket is
Exactly.
It's exactly what he means.
Well, you're giving those sellers also an opportunity to accept your purchase agreement, knowing that they're going to have a little bit of extra time to go find the house they need to find.
Absolutely.
I'm up against like a week longer on a new construction, and the holdup's been really the weather, believe it or not. And now,
it's beautiful out.
It's great.
It's sunny every day.
Am I going to get actually the final inspection back with the sod in? I don't know if this could be an issue. I'm going to find out. But sure enough, we were just waiting on some landscaping to be done, and it was so muddy they couldn't do anything last couple weeks.
A lot of people or a lot of cities and townships now are letting you go without the sod being in because they're like, listen, like we can't control Mother Nature. We get it.
Right.
As long as the buyer and seller are both okay with them coming back and doing this after, we're good.
Hold a bond back, maybe a little escrow money, maybe you trust the builder. It's all good. 248-539-9797. Let's move off here. We got a call coming in from Ann Arbor. Matt's calling in. Hey, Matt. Good morning. Welcome to our show.
Hey guys, how you doing today?
Real good. What's happening?
I had a question for you. I own a condo right now. I'm looking to rent it out in a few years. The complex I live in, half of them are actual rentals, and then half of them are owners.
Yeah.
Is it something I can look into when I go to rent it out? Should I be looking at getting the same price that the other rentals are asking for? Or is it something I'm going to have to lowball a little bit so that I can get someone in?
Well, I mean, Ann Arbor's such a hot area. I think that it's not going to be. I think definitely you'll get what the other units are being rented out for. That's key. When's the last time you went to an association meeting? Never. Never's a good answer. Did you say never?
I know it's last September.
We'll go. Definitely go. Good news and bad news. You know, we're finding these. What happens is they become non-warrantable condominiums because when the condo questionnaire, John, is filled out, of course, all of a sudden these don't meet the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac guidelines. And so many great opportunities for investors out there dived in and bought all these condos up. But yeah, I mean, I would tell you to go start talk around with a couple of the go to an association meeting. You could also call the association and probably get some information that would be helpful for you. But yeah, typically there's not restrictions about renting in most condominium complexes, but you got to check it out.
No, I believe there probably is.
Oh, okay.
As long as they allow rentals, you have to check with your guidelines and your association handbook.
Owners actually renters out as it is now.
Oh, say that again, Matt. Matt, you're breaking up. Matt, you're breaking up a little. I want to hear what you're saying. Talk right on the phone. Do that again.
I'm sorry. Some of the owners are actually renting their houses out now. I'm just not sure what they actually rent them for, and I wasn't sure if it's something that I could get top dollar for compared because there's actual rentals.
Well, but you also got to be a good condo citizen. You know, the problem with condominiums is that if you have too many rentals in a condominium, like Harvey just said, it's going to make that complex non-warrantable. So, you know, yes, you have to go to the homeowners association to find out. You do not want to make your entire complex become non-warrantable and harder to lend in if you want to sell. That'll affect you if you want to sell, your neighbor, whomever. So you just got to be a good condo citizen. That's a new phrase.
I'm going to let you go with that.
It's going to go into the Webster's Dictionary.
John, look, I want to know that my neighbors, if I buy in a condominium complex, I want to know my neighbors live there and own it because they take better care of it. Say what you want. A renter's not going to take better care of the unit, the complex, the common areas than the homeowners would because they're invested in it.
Right. And you don't want to have it oversaturated with renters. It's just, you know, nothing against renters or homeowners, but if it makes that, remember, when we lend on a condo, we just don't lend on that individual unit. We lend on the whole complex. So we got to make sure that it's done the right way. And you want to make sure that you're getting into a complex that is done the right way so that if you go to sell it, you've got every aspect of buyer that you can sell to, not just somebody who's going to pay cash because we're now warrantable or, you know, put 50% down.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing is too, I mean, I'll help landlords with listing their rental properties, houses or condos, and you want to make sure you're doing a good job of screening your renters as well, because you want to make sure that they're not going to destroy your place. I just had a past client of mine. He's got a property that I've never listed for him. He had it rented out before I ever started helping him. He's like, hey, I want to sell this house now. And I said, okay, cool. You know, I'll come by next weekend, take pictures and stuff. But I went by last weekend, And he says, well, it's not that bad. And I walked in and I'm like, I would hate to see what your definition of bad is, because it's just one of those things there. They did not take care of the place. And then that's going to cost you more money in the long run. I mean, yeah, you can keep the security deposit, but what's that going to be? $1,000, $1,500? It's
Right.
not even going to put a dent in the amount of work that this guy.
You're replacing the
had to put in.
carpet and everything else on the padding, the carpet, everything
Redoing the
else.
floors, carpet, anything, repainting. I mean, $1,500. Yeah, like Kyle said, you can't get a $5,000 security deposit on a rental. That's just not going to happen. So if you've only got $1,000, $1,500, what's that really going to cover? So you got to make sure that you screen the right people and do it the right way, and get yourself with an agent that's familiar with it.
Yeah, you can always hire a company too. Again, there's a lot of the associations out there, property management companies that handle this. Not a crazy amount of money either. Actually, I was sort of shocked. Roughly, they get 8 to 10%. So again, if you're kicking out, if you got $1,000 a month coming in, and you're only spending $100 out of your pocket to have someone manage that property. Again, like you said, Kyle, it's so important. They're screening individuals. They can do some background check. I'm telling you, they're probably going to have these, again, if the car's wrecked, they got these Carfax out there and stuff that'll tell you the history of these people. This is going to start happening.
Absolutely.
Where you're rated, just like a credit rating, you're rated as a renter. And if you're destroying the units and stuff, there's going to be a history of that, and you're not going to be able to get a roof over your head.
A lot of landlords and property management companies will want a reference from your previous landlord and say, what kind of tenant?
They're also starting to report to credit reports.
There you go.
We just had another one.
Which can be beneficial as well to renters.
Absolutely.
All right, tons of great stuff to share with you. The morning's flying by here. It's 9:41. Keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket, 248-539-9797. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show, 9:29. Good morning. If you're just turning us on here, we got the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. We are powered by Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation. We bring it to you. We get your files closed, that's for sure.
They always close, Harvey.
They always close, Harry.
I don't want to hear about it. They always close.
If you don't have any snags in your files, you're probably not doing enough business because, as we mentioned, the moving parts bit, there are so many different things in a transaction and a lot of people involved in a transaction. And what I pose is the question, do you need to hire a real estate agent? Oh, you bet. Here's some of the benefits. Why? They save time and energy, there's no doubt. Not only can they find you a house in your price range, they know the market. They have the access to all the people. And one other thing that came out years ago, the pocket listings. Knowing the community, knowing the pocket listings out there is just completely vital to your success as a homeowner and finding that right house.
That is definitely true. And when you're the listing agent, you like to have your property as exposed to as many possible buyers as possible. I mean, my preference isn't necessarily to sell my own listings. My preference is to get the best buyer for my client's house. And that's something that I think is best by when you have a property that's out there for everybody to look at. But then there's also people who are like, I'm not ready to have 100 people traipsing through my house. And then it's kind of like a marriage that you're working on.
Yeah, we talk about that, right? If it's hardwood floors and the owner of the house appears to be walking with dirty shoes on, but you take off your shoes in a house and you do the proper thing. Hey, definitely want to tap into the knowledge of your real estate agent. If you're working with some agents out there now, and you're not tapping into their knowledge, they're not sharing any new information, that's probably not the right agent for you. That would be a key giveaway right there.
Well, look, in life, you have to hire experts in what they do for a living. If you don't sell houses and you're selling your house, and you work for a living, hire somebody that does that for a living. It's philosophically. I'm not saying that you can't sell a house by yourself, but it's not as easy as everybody thinks. That's why I think the stat is somewhere in the 92% of all houses that are sold by a realtor.
There you go.
So you have to go ahead. You have to hire an expert. You're just going to get more money that way for your house. I mean, it's a proven fact. I mean, the statistics don't lie. Now, again, there's always exceptions to every rule, but by and large, the vast majority of homes in the United States are sold with the help of a real estate agent. It just is that way.
And Harry, of course, on the buy side, Lisa, we talked about at the break, on the buy side, you don't pay anything.
Correct.
The sellers pay the commissions on real estate. And again, so often, I'm sure people ask you this.
Especially when we have people that are moving from outside of the area. It's now, how do you get compensated for this? We're compensated by the seller because the seller wants to have the best possible transaction, meaning the smoothest with a qualified buyer.
And this Encore comes with a factory-installed remote start. Be careful, there are a lot of other dealers selling these without a factory-installed remote start for considerably more money. Remember, when you make it Superior, you can expect the best, even without an employee discount.
For details, visit Superior Buick GMC on Michigan Avenue, just east of Greenfield. Or shop online. They deliver at superioronline.com.
The only way you can take 97.1 The Ticket with you is the radio.com app. Download it today and listen to us anytime, anywhere.
97.1 The Ticket.
Well, there you go. All righty. You don't even have to go to the concert. You just listen right here to the Hardcore Mortgage Show. Sorry, we salute our own. There's a little Bob Seger for you. I don't know if Bob's got another 1,000 shows at Pine Knob. I don't know if anyone else is playing there. There you go.
Did you see all the posts from last night? Apparently, he killed it last night.
This guy's unbelievable.
Was that his official last show? Or
No, I think he's got a couple more.
Man, Detroiters are the coolest people around. This is it, man. We protect our own. Here we go. Oh, we'll go back to mortgages. Yeah, you are listening to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate
I'd
Business
rather
Show.
listen to Bob Seger than mortgages.
Hey, if you're out there trying to buy a house, definitely give us a call. We got open lines all morning long at 248-539-9797. Having a little fun here, of course. This weather is bringing us all down just a little bit, but get out there and try to enjoy. I know there's a lot of tournament softball and tournament baseball games across the area. Hopefully you guys can get those games in and avoid the rain.
Season too.
Oh, you got a little golf going on. What did you say? What season?
I said it's wedding season as well. You got all these people that are praying for good weather.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about all that, but I don't know what's going on here. Maybe we're going to have a great September or something, but we can pretty much, if June doesn't turn around soon.
Wait. You jumped all the way to September?
I did. I gave up on it.
You gave up on July and August already,
I don't know.
Gotta get there.
Jeez, Pete.
All right, so we got some open lines here. We definitely want to talk to you. But, John, as we were talking earlier, again, we always mortgages, refinancing. So what's coming up? July 1st is right around the corner here, and summer tax bills coming out. Yep. So many families that we've talked to in the last couple of years, and a lot of you just bought homes, now you're going to be reassessed. So you might not have that money in your escrow account. You're going to find a little bump in your you're going to get a letter probably from your servicer that says you either need to send an extra $100 a month, or you can send a big chunk of money, or maybe, John, refinance your mortgage and get it all fixed up the right way.
Well, as long as the rates make sense, right? You know, I'm a huge advocate on paying your own taxes and insurance because I hate getting the phone calls from people saying my payment's going up because my escrow account was short and now I need to do something about it. And, you know, there's no reason to refinance just to do it for that. You should have been advised the right way that upon purchasing a home, that's the only time that your house can become uncapped. They reassess it. The values can go up.
And the longer that previous owner owned the house, too,
right?
The more. I was helping a gentleman in Ann Arbor last year, and taxes in downtown Ann Arbor are rather high. And he sees a house that the taxes were only like $7,000 for.
He was in
2,800 square foot house right in the heart of downtown. And I was like, let's check this out. I look it up. The owners have been there since 1968.
Right.
So
that's going to be double.
At least
double.
Yeah, you got to be prepared for that. And there's no way for us to set up an escrow account that way because we can't set up. We don't know what the value is going to be when the city goes to reassess it. And if we overinflate the escrow account, all they're going to do is kick the money back to you. Because they can't hold the money for that long.
All right, but be on the lookout anyways. July 1st, boy, that tax bill shows up right in your door. If you do have an escrow account, yes, they still send you a bill. You keep it for your records on there, but you can always double check with your servicer to make sure that this is going to be paid for, and especially if your loan was sold, and there's a little bit of movement of who you're making your payments to, be sure. Double check. A lot of times the servicers will go ahead and pay that in sometime the end of August or September. All right, let's move off to some calls here. We got John calling in from maybe Washington. John, you got a question about foreclosures. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I'm looking at a house on a small lake that's in foreclosure and is up for auction.
Great.
And I'm wondering what things I should be looking out for, what I should be careful about.
So, John, did you get this information from an agent, or is this something that you just found online yourself?
Through Zillow.
Okay. So, beware, a lot of times the stuff you'll see on there, they just use that as kind of clickbait to generate leads for the agents that pay to buy leads from Zillow. So it may be a foreclosure. A lot of times you'll see pre-foreclosure as well, which is just, it's not available. most of the time, those things will sell just for cash as a cash purchase because you get a lot of investors that are looking to either fix and flip or buy and hold. But I mean, if you're able to go and walk through the house before the auction, just make sure you're paying attention to things that you would look for, in any house you're going to look at. How's the roof look? Is the foundation okay? After go ahead.
You're not able. It's as is, so you're not able to tour beforehand.
Well, right. Then, how risky do you feel?
Yeah, exactly. Hey, so how much is it? I'm just curious. How much is this place?
It's for the assessment. It's listed as $189.
And what are other homes in that area selling for compared to this price?
Well, it's on a lake, so those are always a little difficult.
Oh yeah,
because some are big, some are small, but. Well, I guess I haven't looked at that part of it yet.
I can tell you too.
I've got to do that.
I can tell you too that we just had some clients that were putting offers on the houses and on the water, thinking that they were all sports lakes, and come to find out that they weren't. Yeah. And that's a deal killer for them because they want to have an all sports lake.
This one definitely is. I have a boat and a marine over there. So.
Oh, good.
Gotcha.
Good.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a nice lake, just keep gathering information. Boy, you just can't get enough information. You go down to the city. Other things that are popping up, John, and it's a great call, and thank you for the call, but other things that are popping up that I want to just sort of say buyer beware are these well and septics. Okay, folks.
Oh,
if that's
Harvey loves this
topic
topic right now.
Because it was something like, I'm not kidding, maybe 12 of the last 13 well and septic reports came back where the septic had failed. So you got to be very careful. Again, you're talking about a foreclosure. There's no love. No one's been living in it, loving this house. What happened in it that prevented somebody from selling it and making a profit? The house is on a lake, for crying out loud.
Right.
So these are scary things that come up.
I'm going to lean on Kyle a lot for this, but my opinion is that you got to know that area pretty well. John said he's got a boat on the lake, so maybe he knows that area and what's been going on in that house, and talk to the neighbors about, hey, have they had flooding damage, whatever. If you're going to go in and buy something without or put an offer in without even looking at it, you better know pretty good what's going on.
Well, and one thing too that people obviously that don't work in the industry, just because something is as is doesn't mean you still don't get to do an inspection on the property.
Right.
So yeah, this house may be as is, and you can still do an inspection. The sellers aren't going to do any work, but that just gives you the right to at least back away before you're getting yourself into this huge money pit of how much is this going to cost me to make all these repairs and fix this stuff up?
That's a great point.
So just because it's listed as is doesn't mean you can't still do all the normal research you would do. I list residential properties all the time that are maybe a relative had just passed away or something like that, and the family just has to sell it. They don't want to deal with it. We list those houses as is. There's nothing really wrong with the house, but just letting you know, like, hey, if this light switch isn't working, you're on your own to get this thing repaired.
Yeah, good luck. Fix it all up. Hey, Kyle, do you also suggest that maybe John would even go knock on the door of both of the neighbors and say, maybe the neighbors are like, oh, hi, so-and-so, and you show that you have some love, you're thinking about buying and living here. Maybe they're willing to even step up and say, hey, give you some additional information. Is that a safe play?
Absolutely. I mean, like, what's the worst thing they're going to do is say no, or I don't pay much attention to that house. But at least if you go over there, you're nice to them, and you're just professional with them at some point.
It's an auction, remember? So yeah, you may be able to do an inspection, but they're going to want their cash within a couple weeks. So
yeah,
odds are you're not going to have enough time to get a mortgage on it. You're going to have to figure out some other type of way of financing it if they want that money that quick.
Absolutely.
All righty. 248-539-9797. If you'd like to call on the show, we got a few minutes left here, and it's always fun to listen to you. Again, you can call us at Capital Mortgage all week long. 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. We'll get you set up with some great real estate agents like Kyle Lang and Remax Dream Properties in Northville. You guys got a whole bunch of great people, but you're one of the best. I know it. So
always.
There you go. Fair enough. What else are we going to dive into here? I put how the trading, I thought we were going to get into it a little bit, but John, we just want to touch on that a little bit because when rates are down, Harry's famous line is that rates aren't going down to zero. Maybe 7 years ago, it sure seemed like they might have, but they have been trickled up since the all-time lows. Now we got a little break. What's going on with the economy now? When the government threatens tariffs, things change. Geopolitical events happen. People move money out of the stock market into bonds for safe plays. Yeah, rates are low now.
Well, rates are low. I mean, remember the Fed looks at everything, right? They want to look at inflation. They want to look at unemployment. They want to look at consumer confidence. So when they see everything in a really good position, they're not going to necessarily always raise rates because that can have a detriment on some of the other things that they're also trying to keep in line. So we're seeing rates in a really good position right now. We saw them taper off on the increasing of the interest rates at the end of last year, and now talking about keeping them very level, which gives people confidence that they're going to keep being able to buy houses for cheap rates. So it's a good thing right now. You got prices at a good level. You got people being able to sell quickly, people being able to buy with good prices, rates at a good level. So if you're thinking about getting into a house, it's just a great time right now. And we always say that, but because we're so passionate about making sure that people are in homes and enjoying home ownership, but it really is a really good time for people who are trying to get their first step in.
And one thing I've been saying too to a lot of people, that not even prospective buyers, but also prospective sellers, is when rates go down, that's better for you as a seller as well, because that's opening up more potential buyers for your property. They get more buying power. There's more people out there that could qualify to purchase your home.
Right. But Harvey did say you can't be focused on interest rate if you're buying a home. You got to be ready. We want to make you successful. So you got to be ready if rates are 4% or 6%. Obviously they're not going to adjust that quickly, but you got to be ready for no matter what.
Yeah, I'm not quite ready for retirement, but sure enough, when I bought my first house, I'm going to say it was 1992. I'm going to say it was a 7% interest rate. So here we're looking at 4%, so it's almost half. But it never prevented anyone. Sure enough, the cost of the homes were less back then, but the income that everyone made and what was going on all across Michigan or across the United States. But things are very, very good now. And again, never prevented anyone from buying a house if the rates just tick up a little bit. You can always write off the interest on your mortgage. So great opportunities out there. Kyle, we're always going to be talking with you, have you back in here. We want to talk about 72-hour rights of first right of refusal. We've got so much more to share, so you're going to have to catch us at Capital Mortgage at 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. And again, that's where you'll find John and I all week long. John, any farewells real quick?
Hey, thanks for everybody. Mike Tomczak, sorry we couldn't get you here. Becky Alley, sorry we couldn't get you here. Mike's got sick kids. Becky slept in.
What?
Called
all
you out, Becky.
All right, for Kyle Lane and Dream Properties in Northville, for John Kolb, I'm Harvey Free. Keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket. We got Pat Caputo coming up with sports, social commentary. Keep it here.